In football, fear doesn't always come from brute strength or a terrifying appearance. Sometimes it comes from a player so complete, so flawless, that strikers dreaded even seeing him across the pitch. Today, we dive deep into why footballers were scared of Paolo Maldini, the man who redefined defending. Before we understand the fear, we need to understand the man. Paolo Maldini spent his entire career at AC Milan from 1985 to 2009. That's 25 years at the very top level of football. 902 appearances for Milan, 7 Serie A titles, 5 Champions Leagues, a European icon, and a one-club man. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Maldini was elegance in motion. He wasn't a typical hard-man defender. No endless fouls, no cheap intimidation. His weapon was intelligence, positioning, and a serenity that made world-class attackers look ordinary. That's what made him terrifying. There was simply no obvious weakness. Football is often called a chess match, and Maldini was always 2 or 3 moves ahead. He once famously said, "If I have to make a tackle, then I have already made a mistake." That single quote explains why strikers feared him. Unlike defenders who dove into challenges, Maldini anticipated everything. He positioned himself perfectly, cutting off passing lanes before they opened. Strikers found themselves isolated, frustrated, running into dead ends, as if Maldini was inside their head. Maldini wasn't just smart. He was strong, quick, and unbelievably fit. In his prime, he could match any winger for pace. Later in his career, when his speed naturally declined, his timing became razor-sharp. Strikers knew they only had one chance. If they missed it, Maldini would swallow them whole for the rest of the game. He started as a left-back, transitioned to center-back, and excelled equally in both roles. Imagine being a winger thinking you've escaped the fullback, only to see Maldini again in the heart of defense later in his career. Players feared him because he never gave you an angle. He could defend against pace, against power, against skill. Every style of striker ran into the same problem: Maldini. Then there was the psychological factor. Maldini was elegant, calm, and never flustered. Strikers feed off defenders panicking. Maldini didn't panic. He stood tall, hair flowing, eyes calm. Opponents have admitted that his aura alone was intimidating. He looked untouchable. Even legends like Ronaldo Nazario, Zlatan Ibrahimović, and Lionel Messi respected him deeply. Facing Maldini wasn't just about skill. It was about battling the aura of a man who made defending look like art. Maldini played at the top for nearly 25 years. That kind of longevity is scary in itself. Generations of strikers came and went, from Diego Maradona to Cristiano Ronaldo, and all of them ran into Maldini at some point. Imagine being a young forward making your debut, only to realize the man marking you is Paolo Maldini, a living legend who has already stopped every great attacker before you. Zlatan Ibrahimović once said, "Maldini didn't need to foul you. He took the ball so cleanly you'd feel embarrassed." Paolo himself explained his philosophy: anticipation over tackling. Francesco Totti admitted playing against Maldini was like playing against a wall. Even referees admired him. Maldini only ever received 3 red cards in his entire 25-year career. That level of control terrified opponents. These stories show it wasn't just his ability. It was the respect, almost mythical fear, that came with his name. In the end, Paolo Maldini represents the defender every striker dreaded. Not because he was dirty, not because he was violent, but because he was perfect, intelligent, athletic, versatile, elegant. He stripped away all the weapons attackers usually rely on. Maldini once said, "If you know how to position yourself, you don't need to be fast. If you know how to anticipate, you don't need to tackle. That's why footballers were scared of him. He made the hardest job in football, defending, look effortless, and in doing so, he left a legacy of fear, respect, and admiration that still stands today. This was Paolo Maldini, the defender strikers feared most. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which striker do you think had the hardest time against him. Until next time, football fans.